Hi, Charles is a book sage here. It is Friday, July 24th, 2020, and this is my Friday Reads. Before I get into what I'm reading this weekend, last night I finished reading Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky by Kwame Mbalia. And as I suspected when I was about halfway through the book, that it was going to be a 5-star read. It absolutely was. This was such an entertaining book to read. I laughed, I cheered, I even teared up at one point. Such a great cast of characters. Like I mentioned before, just real quick, Tristan Strong, through a series of events, kind of partly his own fault, ends up transported to this other place, this other realm, that's kind of under attack by this sort of dark force that he's kind of responsible for unleashing. But it's filled with like legends like John Henry and Brer Rabbit and Brer Fox and others, as well as West African gods. So it's a really interesting creative landscape to take these and put them all together and have Tristan kind of figure out how to exist in this other world and learn to take on his responsibilities and fight for them and for himself and everything. Just an absolutely fun read all the way through. Great cast of characters. Gum Baby is worth the price of admission all by herself. Between Kruppa from Malazan and Gum Baby from Tristan Strong, these are now two of my absolute all-time favorite characters in sort of fantasy books that I've read. And Tristan Strong is going to be very strong, no pun intended, contender for my favorite read of the year. So whatever else I'm going to be reading this year has got their work cut out for them. All right, so now let's go on to this weekend. Probably going to be finishing up Deadly Curiosities, Book 4, Inheritance, by Gail Z. Martin. I think I have maybe, 50, 60 pages to go. So I know I'll be finishing that up tonight. And like I said, it's the fourth book in this urban fantasy series. Cassidy Kincaid, she's a young woman in her 20s, owns this antique shop, Trifles in Folly, in Charleston, South Carolina. And while it is a legitimate business, it's also a front for this sort of entity, this group called the Alliance. And their job is to find and neutralize like items when they become magically or spiritually or supernaturally dangerous. And that's part of what she does. Is her and her team, this is what they do. They encounter cursed objects, ghosts, spirits, demons, all sorts of things. I really enjoy this series. There's 4 novels and there's 2 compilation books of short stories. Gail Z. Martin has a new series out set in the same Alliance universe. And I bought the first one of that. And interestingly enough, she also has a pen name called Morgan Bryce, where she writes, I think it's at least 2 other series set in this same Alliance world. But because they're male-male paranormal romance, kind of subgenre of urban fantasy, those are written under the Morgan Bryce pen name. So I don't read paranormal romance, and male-on-male paranormal romance doesn't really do anything for me personally. But I'm probably going to pick up at least the first one, because those characters appear in this Deadly Curiosities series, because one of the main characters in one of those other series is Cassidy's cousin. So I'm probably going to pick one up. I expect it's going to be very similar, but I'm assuming because it's paranormal romance that there's probably going to be, the intimacy is probably going to be more prevalent and an expected part of the story, because the Deadly Consequences stuff, there's relationships and everything, but it's PG-13. It's PG pretty much, because it focuses on fighting demons and ghosts and all that kind of stuff. So I'll probably at some point pick one of the Morgan Bryce books up, because it's all set in the same world. It's all part of the same story. So I don't want to not read it just because it's a slightly different sort of subgenre. But anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent here. None of that's probably going to be read this weekend, other than finishing the Inheritance, Deadly Curiosities book. And then it's probably back to my main series that I'm reading, the 3 of them. I've got to finish the Honor Harrington book I'm on and start on the next Vorkosigan book and the next Malazan book. So how much of that I'll get to this weekend, I'm not really sure. I definitely want to finish the Harrington book. That's without a doubt. And then I'm up in the air if I'm going to go right into the next Vorkosigan or go into, I think it's House of Chains is the next Malazan book I'm due to read. So I'll see. I'll see what mood I'm in when I finish Honor Harrington. Like I said, last weekend was a total mood reading weekend, and I ended up reading something completely unexpected. So you never know that might happen in this weekend. But finishing Deadly Curiosities and then finishing the Honor Harrington book are really my main reading priorities. On Monday, at some point Monday, I will have my weekend recap video where I'll kind of go over everything I actually did manage to read this weekend. So keep an eye out for that on Monday. And I'm hoping that I actually take the time this weekend, because I've got a couple of videos that I really need to record. One of them being my Honor Harrington First Impressions video, because I've got a Vorkosigan one out for those interested in my thoughts on the Vorkosigan saga. I'm about 5 books into that. Best of luck to all you doing the reading rush. I know it's Friday, so it's almost over for you. I'll be watching your videos to see how you're doing. I am gonna wrap this up because I gotta get ready and get to work and try to edit this real quick before I go to work. I am Charles of SirBookSage. Happy reading.